Why would the not get a language job and then some people can't figure out how to spell it? Yeah. That's aggressive. Anyway, yeah, I just didn't know like. Or I'll just develop my own system for going in and ordering a bunch of buttons and checking off that's been done. And
few members in short reports.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, Club Runner is large and I've had access to the door, but I love using it and I can't the information. Yeah, I've always been using it on a laptop. I used to do everything on my phone. We put it on the laptop when I was trying to create my assignments, and I would text you on Sunday night at 7 and say, "Hurry, why can't I?" So now I've got a computer, maybe I'll just, I'm trying to do what on here. It's easier. It makes it sign sheets, and if I can run through reports, so I'll do it.
But one thing to remember, this kind of happens in the flow of these segments. That's how, that's how you start figuring out.
Right. And you just log in and that's my same.
So you do that, if you go to the attendance, so simple, it wants to, you can have to put down. Which is going to change today because I'm assuming members.
Perfect. Yeah, that's fine. I have to decide it's not, so I can use order, keep order. Order exactly. We did order exactly. Yeah, right, yeah, so yeah, we sure.
And it's gonna make it to reorganize.
Yeah. I think he just took the spring. Yeah. If I can get it to run the new members back to May or whatever, does that report have their classification on it? Because I need that, I need that for people's buttons, right? Yeah, so I can figure out what's.
Or at least see what they do.
Right, and then it's at my discretion to give them a title.
You can't find anything else.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure. So, okay. Right, so we would just put what they are.
Or if you look at this,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Right. Or if you can just do. Wearing this, somebody take a snap.
Yes, of course. Set up. I think I'm going to be able to.
Yeah.
He's here. Yeah, right. I know some stuff. Well, when someone. And I want to say, you know, if I can get it.
We do that all the time. Wait, what? And it's like, we actually heard it, but it hadn't registered.
Exactly.
And we're like, well, we will mumble.
I believe they do mumble. And they're not always looking directly at you. And sometimes my brain is involved in so many things. And I was trying to look at what I did. Done whatever it is in common. It's about, I mean, that's quite capture. In fact. That's a story you want to write. Oh, thanks. Well, you were in Africa, maybe 2 years ago. After life was having a fall away. I thought, you know what, we've been playing with my not hearing what they said for years on years ago. I think I'm going to hearing check. Well, so that hearing check. And I told them, she wanted to be told that your family models. I hope you put it on with it all, put it on a bridge, just for days. I'm told that's sort of the way to do that. Yes. Okay. Yeah, exactly, right. And her small, 65.
Right about the time. I told you, I'm like, well.
That's great. Never be around. That's true. That's true. I'm gonna. I made novels with the various questions you asked. I'm gonna try. You like water? Yeah, I will. Sure, I will.
Well, I'm sort of rendering that. Well, it's. That's they ready for the day to be here. But yeah, there's so much work. I mean, we're going to Puerto Rico and so go there. It's just ready. It's so, yeah, I'm ready for yeah, well, we had to change that, so that's all the process. It was around right there. Came down from North. They forgot you. Oh. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, there we go. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Rotary. I feel like let's get ready to rumble. All right, so the focus of our meeting today, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then our 4-way test. We'll do our virtue reading and invocation, and announcements, fellowship. Dr., is it Dr. Hanson today or is it, he's here, but I'm not sure if he's the person that was signed up to do it. I'll do it for him. David, thank you. I copied the whole slide and forgot to update that. I've got it. Yeah, Joe. And I didn't update our speaker, so I'm very sorry about that too. You are a guest speaker today, and we're very excited to hear from you. You're from the Pollution Control Administration. Thank you very much. I apologize about that. Not my A game. Thank you, George. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build with will and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Our virtue today is confidence. So great that our club president has the confidence to be ready to rumble at. Confidence is having faith in ourselves and in life. We feel capable and competent. We trust that we have the strength to cope with whatever happens. Confidence helps us to be free of worry. When we are confident in others, we believe in them and rely on them. We build self-confidence as we learn from our mistakes and improve for the better. Confidence brings the strength to try new things, to gain mastery through practice. With confidence, we cast off self-limiting beliefs and doubts. We offer our gifts as a worthy contribution. When opportunity comes in, we step up to it and we just say yes.
Thank you so much. Pastor Mark.
Had a teacher in high school that told us confidence through competence. Confident when you know what you're standing. That was good. Let's just take a moment and pray together. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you that we can come together and confidently declare that we can do good, that we can make a difference in this community. And thank you for the opportunities we have to do that. Thank you that we can share this time together, the meal, the fellowship, the fun, and every part of this day. Lord, we thank you for it. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All right, so we are going to dive into announcements. Natalie has an announcement that she would like to share.
Okay, I'm sharing a note from Mary Ellen. Who can't be with us for the next few weeks. She says, hello, as many of you know, I've had some serious stomach issues the past several years. They have progressively gotten worse. Since June, I've had a hard time keeping things down. I'm going to have surgery where they bypass my duodenum and pyloric valve. The surgeons will be rerouting my intestines and taking out part of my stomach that has been distended from food that has not been able to drain out. Also, I have had heart issues from birth. As a baby, doctors repaired 4 holes in my heart. Technology 55 years ago was not as good as what they have now for babies. So therefore, the repair they did back then has caused issues throughout my life. After visiting my current cardiologist, they told me this bariatric surgery would be hard on my heart. I am being admitted to Abbott Northwestern today. I will be having several heart procedures, then I will stay for a full week before the bariatric surgery, which is next Wednesday, September 28th. I would really appreciate all of your good vibes and prayers. Looking forward to seeing you in about a month when I can get back when I am recovered. Hope you all are having a nice fall. Thank you, Mary Ellen. So, Mary Ellen Bondas. So just wanted to let you know that the club will be sending her flowers to Abbott Northwestern on behalf of the club, but you're all welcome to reach out to her yourselves as well.
Thank you, Natalie. Let's keep Mary Ellen in our thoughts and prayers for that. So, who else would like to share a club announcement?
I've got our gambling updates.
Okay, wonderful.
You want me to do it now?
That'd be great.
Right, some somber news to maybe a little more uplifting news now. All right, so August was both a normal month of gambling, but also the fiscal year end for the charitable gambling operation, which marks 1 year since we've been in business. Technically 11 months, but close enough. So real quick, I'll touch on August and then kind of spend more time on the annual numbers because I find those more fascinating. For August, we actually set a new record in E-tab sales. We sold $138,000 worth of E-tabs. For comparison, we were selling around maybe 120 a month, so that's a significant increase for us, 1 month. Unfortunately, though, our gross margin on our E-tab sales was terrible. It was the worst we've experienced. So we had record levels of sales, but the gamers worked us, you could say. We had a gross profit margin of 8.8% compared to our prior average of 14.5%. So if you take that 6% of 138, that could have been, a normal month, that would have been extra thousands of dollars in our pocket. But, sometimes the house wins, sometimes the house loses, and we lost this time. Net income for the month was a negative 2,000 because we had a strong song. Oh, Mr. Kaufman, I went to high school with Chris Kaufman, played football, basketball together, grew up. Right? Sorry, to get to the contract. Wonderful. All right, so we had a negative $2,000 loss for the month, but let's get to our big annual numbers. Those are more exciting, as I said. For the year, we sold $1,006,000 worth of E-tabs, $640,000 worth of paper tabs, and then $79,000 in bingo. So an aggregate sales of $1.8 million for 11 months. That's pretty exciting. Pretty good opportunity. And our net income, so this would be before we made our charitable donations and such, was $93,000, which is a 5.2% margin. So in most businesses, a net profit margin of 5.2 is pretty healthy. So we gotta be, and you gotta consider that the state takes a big chunk of our profits too out of this compared to other operations. So 5.2, very satisfying. All right, so with regards to what's going forward here, because we had over $750,000 in annual sales, we have to do an audit, so that's gonna be coming up. We gotta find an accounting firm to do it. JOD, Eric, maybe? You know somebody, because we can't use Reese Winter, they do our payroll and tax services, so it's gotta have a separation of duties there. We had the baseball tournament the other weekend over Labor Day. Brenda ran that operation and she said it was decent volume. We ended up making about $900 in profit, which we had to split half and half with the baseball association. So not bad, not as much demand. Apparently the weather was kind of iffy when the games were going down and no local teams made it. So it kind of slowed down the activity, but I heard it was still great results for the city, good profits, good economic activity. All right, going forward, we'll do our quick expenses and then we'll be on our way here. We have $250 for our software application. That's the same every month. We're gonna up our inventory purchases to $6,000 because we had a good month in August and now football's back in action. People are going out, Boxers is busy. Let's see here, gambling team compensation, that's the same every month, $2,600. Bingo team compensation, $2,500. Revenue share with F. Peters, because we had such a large month of E-tabs, we're gonna up that to $10,000 just to cover, we don't want to be under allocating there. Revenue share with Boxers, $8,500, again, same idea, fall, football. Full tabs. And last but not least, miscellaneous costs for $2,000, which covers our payroll services and maybe some purses if we get unpaid. First bingo this month, I'm not sure if Brenda's got that on the schedule, but always good to have a little extra capital in the run. With that, can we get a motion to approve our expenses going forward? George, can we get a second? Anybody with a second?
I'll second. Give it to Laura.
Laura with a second. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful. All righty, back to Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I know Murray's got a couple of slides he had added in, so, Somali Soccer League, so this is really great. One of the donations we were able to do because of charitable gambling was to a Somali Soccer League, and they sent us this photo and this wonderful note. Another successful soccer/football season has ended and the youth are getting ready to head back to school. Perun did a great job of organizing teams and tournaments this year. The support from Rotary this year was a huge confidence booster to the team. Perun and another youth spent countless hours each week coaching and organizing about 60 youth throughout the summer. His dedication is expiring, and I think Perun's going to join us at a future meeting with Natalie next week. So really neat to see that. And here's a wonderful photo. Would you like to share on this, or do you want me to? Yeah. There you go.
Chris and I were up at Zoom. What was it, Chris? Anyway, we were up at the meeting Saturday night in Bloomington. And it was a meeting of the zone, that's the right word, of the Rotary Zone. The Rotary Zone runs from Canada down through the Midwest, and then there's a break, and then quite a bit of Texas. So it involves 23 districts or about 40,000 members. And so we had the honor of inducting Chris by the International Rotary elect person from Scotland. And so he was there, and kind of a cool guy, easy to talk to, and we just had a really good time at dinner, and Chris and his wife, and Nancy and I, and Dr. Quigley and her husband were there, our director. And so quite a big deal, in fact, a really big deal. We were one of 6 people out of those 40,000 Rotarians that got to have one of the induction. So thanks to Chris, thanks to our club, we had a wonderful time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, and welcome, Chris. This photo looks so dramatic in black and white. It's like, is that a new photo or not? Yeah, it's very cool. Little Falcons is looking for youth coaches, so if you've got skills, you feel like you're a great coach or whatnot, they are looking for people to help out K-5 different activities. So reach out to Ryan at the school district if you want to find out more. And I think that Murray had sent this out in an email too, so you just have that information. And time for Rose Sale. Murray, do you want to give an update on this, or do you want me to just? You go ahead. Okay, so Rose Sale starts today. And as Murray so eloquently put it in our board meeting, it seems like on sales like this, you either go gangbusters right at the beginning, or you're rushing at the last minute. We did you a favor this year of condensing the time of selling roses, so it's all one just flat out sell roses. So I think we have a 2-week window for ordering roses. They are due October 5th. And the delivery date is Monday, October 24th. And I love this date because it's so much fun to show up to people's homes and businesses and give them flowers. And your car smells amazing, much better than broccoli day for Meals on Wheels. So if you have questions, reach out to Brenda and Amy. They're the coordinators for this. And happy selling. These things sell themselves.
I think $20 at your email.
$20, and
I sent out the email just about an hour ago, so it should be in your box with all the details. Think on what to do.
very good.
And honorary members do not have to sell, just the active.
All right. Then I turn it over to David.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, we'll start with some of our guests. Gary Nina, from the Cats. I've been listening to a lot of Brady Parnell.
I have today Summer Cunningham. Some of you may know her husband, Nathaniel Cunningham, who runs Mighty Fine Coffee. And she is doing this today, maybe even in the future. And they do our thing. Hello.
My name is Summer Cunningham, and my husband is Nathaniel Cunningham. He owns Mighty Fine Coffee. I don't know if you've tried it, it's really good. Might be a little biased. We just moved back to town. I grew up here, graduated from high school. Moved back in February. We're living in Lakeville for a little while. And we lived in Seattle for 10 years. But we moved back. My husband has a passion for the town of Fairville. Wants to do all sorts of things for the community. Oh, we just bought the old Andrews Nursery. So that's where we're living. We are used to learn that. Or want to go to a wedding. We're starting a venue there. What else? Yeah. That's me in a nutshell. Okay.
So,
We can do much better than that. We could say hi, Summer, right? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Summer.
Any happy dollars?
I'm just happy to hear that report about the soccer and how the Somali league went this summer and then we supported them. The soccer part kind of living up to its mission of serving all ethnicities and groups within our community.
Very good stuff, thank you. Great, over here, any happy dollars?
So I have a few announcements to make today. I'm gonna throw a few out to a couple of weeks. I'm behind on billing, so as always, so I'm gonna be sending out rotary dues within the next week. If you have any questions, let me know. Next thing, I wanted to follow up on Murray and Kurt's discussion about roses for the new members. So we hope that all members will sell at least 12 dozen roses. They're $20 a dozen. Our cost, I believe, is $8. So for those that don't want to sell, we encourage just $150 donation because that covers the profit on 12 dozen roses. There are Rotarians that sell 100 dozen roses, so do your best, sell as many as you can. It's a huge fundraiser for our club. We probably net about $15,000 a year from that fundraiser. And I don't remember what my third thing was, but I'm happy to be here today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, David. I like your kid. Thank you. I sold it on the bucket. If anybody wants one?
Are there a bunch in the bucket?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, yes. Okay, so Warmer community, just want to give a little update. Things are cooking now. So Laura and I and Kay met with Jefferson School this morning. Tomorrow, Mark and Harriet and myself will meet with Roosevelt. And then next week, a group of us are meeting with Lincoln. So it's moving. It's probably going to look a little bit different this year, but that's okay. I think the need will be there. We're going to spread the word well, and it's a big undertaking. So there's a lot of us that are involved in the Walmart community, and it's good.
All right, that is awesome stuff. Murray, I have to tell you, last week you gave me a little hard time. It's football season, and we should be implementing some of that. So I did my homework this week. And I wanted to show the whole club highlights to the Vikings teams. You guys ready?
You do know the next one. Yeah, as fast as it rises for the Bears and Vikings. A couple bucks for Professor Houston over there. I do like to go for both.
I know you're not.
Tough.
We're going to be in the Dells celebrating my dad, who's being inducted into the Wisconsin Basketball Hall of Fame. And at the Dells for all of his work over the last 3 decades plus, and getting AAU basketball for girls only. He's had over 500 athletes go through his program and coaching to get college scholarships in basketball, and now he serves at the national level. So he's kind of the grandfather of girls basketball in Wisconsin.
Cool.
Very nice.
Thing as well as an invitation. I'll start with the invitation. As you know, I'm giving leadership to the Strive program, and I'm looking for persons who would be willing to be a part of our ongoing committee that oversees Strive, as well as I'm looking for people who would be willing to come to the sessions that we have and just be there to greet students, engage students, and just be a sign of Rotary at our Strive program. We are meeting this coming Wednesday, a week from today, at 7 o'clock in the morning at South Central College. So if you'd like to be a part of the committee and or or coming on Wednesdays, let me know, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Yes,
Stride meetings wrap up at about 7:45.
yes, that's right. I'm sorry, that's good.
You could make it to work.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
We started at 7, we dismiss around 7:45,
Like,
that's right, yeah.
Sometimes there's donuts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
There always are.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing is, Rebecca and I celebrated our 100th day of being married, so that we did pass that on.
Are so good.
Most of those were really good days. They did it. The Fairwell Foundation 100 Men Give a Damn event is this Saturday at the Elks Lodge from 2 to 4. The idea has kind of morphed. It was originally a service idea and we contributed $100 and we'll celebrate the service. It's now just kind of a fundraiser and celebrating service we do in the community as a whole. And as Rotarians, we're doing plenty of stuff in the community, so we don't have to feel obligated to go find a new project to do. We can celebrate what we're already doing. 2 to 4 at the Elks, $100. We'll see you there drinking beer with food from the depot.
Any theme at all?
2 for that, I thought it was 4 o'clock. 4 to 6. Oh, all right, 4 to 6.
Show up early.
4 to 6. Drinking home at 2.
Pre-game goes down. Ready to show up for an extra 100.
So I'm gonna. Kathy and for press, and each member committee of our club, and also, as you all know, some of you know, David is our top guru of this club, and so David, this is for you.
Oh, gosh. I'm not looking.
Show the camera, David. That's awesome.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, Kim. How is your birds?
Thanks. Thanks, Chad, for promoting the 100 Men event. It is 4 to 6 at the Elks. And so, thanks to all of you who have already signed up, and thanks to all of you who do such great work in the community. I know that you are men and women who care. Next week, on October 2nd, is the 100 Women event, and we still do have some room. You know, when you put a deadline on these things, when you're promoting it, and then it's wishful thinking, we all know that, right? And so the deadline is on the flyer, you might see that, but ignore it and sign up, please. All right, thanks.
How many men are signed up so far? Is it all 100? You get 100?
Yeah, we do not have 100 on, but then
Okay.
All right, good to know.
Hey.
This is for Jill. She left it, but she's on vacation.
Right. Where's she going on vacation?
She did.
Love to ask you. Yeah.
I'm happy to announce that tomorrow is Whiskey World. And many of you know about it, so I'm not gonna go into detail, but if you haven't gotten the details and you want to talk to me afterwards, I'd love to share with you how we support our students at South Central. And in the true confident way that Rotarians show up, I came in and I said, oh, I need a couple volunteers, and I was mentioning to Lauren, she goes, who, me? This maybe, she goes, yeah, I can do that. And that's the Rotary spirit. So thanks so much, and hope to see many of you there tomorrow at 5:30 doors open, 6 o'clock, 10,000 pounds. And our own Kurt will be talking about alumni, also the alumni day.
No dad jokes though.
No, yeah.
Yeah, did we hear one yet?
Oh, we won't.
Coming up.
So, we have an evening, over the weekend, we got to take care of 4 of them. And not only the 4 of them, but there was also a white, unfixed white lab. And we have a chocolate lab, so our poor chocolate lab is traumatized. It was along over 48 hours. I usually have a new checkout, but it wasn't. And, but you know, we did scavenger hunts, we did, parks, we did playgrounds, we did everything. And our grandkids are from the city. Even though we raised their parents in a small town, we took them to the demo derby. And they were so excited, you know, they eat junk food and watch cars crash into each other, and we, so it's all good. So I gave $10 because it's 6 of us, 2 dogs, and 2,000 square foot home.
All right, I got a couple dollars. Chris, you got a good story about Chad?
We both have a couple of stories. I just wanted to say thank you. Everyone's been so kind to me since I started coming here, and it's been a really great experience. I'm very excited to continue. And I was also very honored to be chosen to go to the Rotary event in so that was just thank you so much.
Thank you. May I interrupt anything, George? How was the time? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just glad to have the events here to talk to us about water. And I'll introduce you in a few minutes.
Thank you, George. Anybody else? No, so happy cheer. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you so much. I got a couple of thoughts. One is for Natalie's father, who is an absolutely wonderful person, as is her mom. He has such a passion for youth sports. Maybe I'll just tilt this back up here. Such a passion for youth sports, such an amazing work ethic, really great at motivating people, and a wonderful sense of humor. So, and then my second dollar is for my daughter is 8 and in 3rd grade has recently started volleyball, right? Never tried it before. A group of similar age girls, and last night I went to their practice to watch, and they're definitely getting better past couple weeks. But at one point I happened to look across the net. You know, they had the girls divided into 2 groups, one on each side of the net, working on drills or whatever. I looked across the net, and there was one girl on all fours with another girl riding her like a pony, and they were both saying "God bless America." And then a few moments later, there was about 7 girls in a Congo line. And I couldn't make out the song that they were singing, but it's just like things you see at volleyball practice. So Keith has a new member induction, and we'll do dad joke, and then we'll get to our guest speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, let's Dr. Houston and Kathy to come on up. And it's a wonderful, wonderful day, a day that we got a new member. So fellow Rotarians, it's a joy to add new members so that we may increase our usefulness and influence as a club, and also extend the spirit of Rotary throughout our community. Today we welcome Kathy Whitwire. You have been elected to membership in this club because your fellow members believe you to be a worthy representative of your calling, and also possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary in your public, business, social, private, and musical life. I wish to impress upon you that you have been admitted not only to the Rotary Public Farewell, but to a worldwide association, which Dr. Houston will pull you into. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it responsibilities, and these responsibilities are meant to be fun. You'll be expected to attend the club's meetings regularly, to perform club service, and to place your knowledge and many talents at the disposal of our club in its mission of carrying out the Rotary principle of service above self. Kathy, do you agree to the best of your ability to carry out the Rotary ideal of service above self? Ask all members to rise. In the name of the Rotary Club of Faribault, we now formally induct you into our club. Please welcome Kathy. You may be seated. We're doing something a little bit different today. We usually have a packet to give out. In that packet, it's really kind of a wah because there's not that much in it. So we're gonna skip the packet. And we're gonna go with a couple rotary pins for you, which you can wear. Those bring up great conversations for you. And then we also have a beautiful certificate of membership here for you to display. So welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you.
All right.
As instructed.
Okay. I don't want them to miss out on the manual. What do you want?
Hey, I want to make an announcement. Can I do that now?
Yep.
Just on your tables is a small sheet of paper which announces the key information about the barbershop concert 1 week from this coming Saturday, 1 week from Saturday, on October 1st, River Valley Church, 4 o'clock. The proceeds from the free will offering supports several women's organizations in our area.
I like how you said the key information. I got it. I got it. Okay. Yeah, joke time. So the collective noun for a group of kangaroos is called a troop. I'm not sure how many of us knew that. I didn't know that. A troop is a herd of kangaroos or a group of kangaroos. So what's the collective noun for a group of cars? A lot. That's for Pete and Zach in honor of his new job, and sorry he's not here today to see it, but maybe you can relate that, or it might be on Zoom. So there you go. All right, so I'll invite our guest speaker and George up for an introduction.
Thank you. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Lynn Gansky, who was working with the Pollution Control Agency for 32 years. About half of his career has been in Rochester, and the other half he's now officing in Mankato. He's a family man, he has a wife and 3 boys, and without any further ado, here's Lee Gansky. All right. Good morning.
Thank you for all the work, the wonderful work that you do in the community too. I especially wanted to echo the gentleman back here about the support of the Somali Soccer League. One of the things that I do, I don't know, as a side job or a hobby, I guess, is to referee soccer. So I actually travel over to Faribault fairly regularly for soccer matches at your fine facility here. So. Okay, I don't have a watch, I don't have a cell phone, I want to make sure I stay on time. Can you give me a
5-minute warning?
Give me a 5-minute warning, but I'd really like to allow a little time for.
We done at 1:15, so you said you had 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to talk for about 15 minutes, and so if I'm approaching 15 and I seem to be going
How
on,
about
yeah. Okay. I've got a couple of conversations with George in preparing for this, and he had a long list of topics that he wanted me to talk about. So I said, well, that'll be just fine. We should be out of here by 5:30. No problem. But we'll work
on and get done in 15 minutes or so, but I am gonna try to touch on all the things George mentioned, because they were all important things. So I work for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, as George said, and in case you all are not familiar with our agency, we are the primary state environmental agency that deals with air quality, water quality, solid waste, hazardous waste, environmental emergencies, that sort of thing. There are other state agencies that we overlap with in significant ways, but we all function differently. So 32 years with the Pollution Control Agency, most of my family still says when we get together for reunions, how are things at the Department of Natural Resources? So that's of course a lot of people associate with the environment and government in our state, but also we have an agriculture department, we have a health department, and a myriad of local departments to county soil and water conservation districts, soil and water conservation districts that have niches in environmental protection and conservation work. So some people think of the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency as sort of the state level environmental protection agency. Our agency has about 850 employees. The majority are based in our St. Paul office, but about a quarter are scattered among a half a dozen regional offices, including 2 offices that I work out of, as George mentioned, our Rochester office and our Mankato office. So water, more specifically lakes, rivers, and streams, we sometimes refer to that collectively as surface water, as opposed to groundwater or underground water, which I'll touch on as well. But surface water is my specialty, has been for most of my career, so I'll start there. So George asked if I would address whether we're facing a water crisis, and more specifically, are we running out of water? And when I look at, and of course we could look at this question locally, nationally, globally, and we would have different answers to that question. So I'm going to focus more on the national and then the local view on that question to try to answer that question. So when we look at the southwest part of our country, and I'm sure it doesn't escape any of you, if you're paying any attention at all to the media, to understand that places like Lake Mead and Lake Powell, the levels are down 50 or 75 feet, and there are water restrictions being put into place, or at least discussed, for many of the big cities in the Southwest US and California, the Colorado River, and those aren't entirely new concerns, but it does seem like the level of attention and concern is higher than it's been for water quantity in parts of our country, the South and the West in particular. So in that sense, I would agree that there is a water quantity crisis that exists. Too little water, too much demand for it, and it's not just in the rivers or the big reservoirs like Lake Powell and Lake Mead. It's also that underground water. You hear about the Oglala Aquifer, which covers multiple states to our south, and really the only source of drinking water for some of those areas. That aquifer is clearly under stress. So localizing things a little bit, here in Minnesota, I would say my concern is a bit different. I don't believe that we're in danger of running out of water. I know we've had some dry conditions these last couple of years and even right now. But I actually think our crisis in Minnesota, sometimes I feel like the crisis of too much water at times. I believe that a real challenge here in Minnesota is more about water quality as opposed to water quantity. Those things are of course interrelated and both are important. So what do I mean by water quality? So by that, I mean the condition of our lakes and rivers, plus that groundwater for the things that we want to use them for. So for fishing, for swimming, for other forms of recreation, for irrigation, for drinking. In Minnesota, drinking water comes both from underground water as well as surface water. The Mississippi River, for example, the Red River are sources of drinking water for some communities. And then I also mean the condition of our lakes and rivers for what we would refer to as ecological services that are important services for us as well. So a simplified way to think about that is just like the health of all the insect life that depends on clean rivers and streams. And so if you think of insects and then the things that eat insects, bats and turtles and birds. And so if the water's not doing well, the insects that depend on the water's not doing well, that cascades throughout the ecosystem. So I think sometimes we really think that, I've certainly seen it in our agency, that we really have to sell our value based on, swimming, fishing, boating, and it's really bigger than that. It's really bigger than that. So if we stress our waters, overstress our waters, the whole system can come unwound. So what is stressing our waters here in Minnesota? What's compromising water quality? Many of our waters are still receiving too many nutrients, phosphorus and nitrogen from agricultural and urban sources and landscapes, and other things resulting in very green lakes at times. Many of our waters are receiving too much sediment from erosion, both on the landscape and also erosion of the stream and river channels themselves. And I think we have ongoing concerns about the myriad of pesticides and chemicals like PFAS, the PFAS group of chemicals that you may have heard about, microplastics, that sort of thing, that we sort of don't understand all that well in some ways what the long-term impacts of some of those things are. So, and then transitioning back to groundwater, which we use for drinking, of course, but also it feeds some of our rivers, streams, and lakes. We have concerns for nitrate levels. For example, there are substantial numbers of wells in the counties to the south and east of here, Winona County, for example, that are really private wells that are really undrinkable because of nitrate concentrations, and some public water systems that are where there's concern, and that includes communities like Mankato, where I come from, and Fairmont, as well as some smaller towns in southeastern Minnesota. So I realize I started out by painting sort of a grim picture, but it's not all grim here, and I'm gonna flip a little bit here to a more positive picture of what's going on, and localizing a bit more. When I think of Faribault in this area, Cannon River comes to my mind, and the Cannon River's, yes, it has some challenges, it has some problems, but it's also a reasonably healthy river. And the tributaries, the small streams that drain into the Cannon River
Many of those, maybe most of those, are also reasonably healthy, and they're being used by people. People are fishing, people are canoeing, people are kayaking, people are hiking or riding their bikes along the Cannon River. It's a beautiful and important resource to this area, and I expect that, you know, many or all of you recognize that and consider yourself lucky to have the Cannon and Straight Rivers in your community here. And the area lakes, you know, there are times when they're a lot greener than we would like them to be, and but they're also heavily used resources and highly valued resources. Many of them support quality fishing opportunities. Although some people would, is the quality of fishing ever good enough for people, right? So, yeah. So one of the, and I mentioned the nutrients that cause those severe algae blooms that we see at times in the lakes. So one of the reasons that I think the resources, the rivers like the Cannon and the Strait, are in a reasonable condition is thanks to the Clean Water Land and Legacy Amendment that was passed 15 years ago. I remember it well. Some of you may, some of you may not, but we, as Minnesotans, we voted to raise our sales tax 3/8 of 1% to support water, land, preservation, protection programs, supporting the work that I do, the water monitoring work that I do, as well as supporting a range of programs to both protect waters that are in pretty decent shape or to restore waters that are not in decent shape. So
1 minute.
okay. Really?
Yep.
Okay. Jeez. Going on that long? Okay, well, I'm gonna be real quick on this. The other matter that George asked me, the other matters that he asked me to talk about, all fell under the umbrella of climate. And which I think is probably the real long-term concern that we should have for our water resources, as well as many other aspects of the environment. That's the issue that in my mind really needs our attention. Fortunately, just about a week ago, the state of Minnesota released a climate action framework with a number of very important goals and initiatives. First of all, data and information goals, initiatives in a number of important areas: transportation, natural and working lands, resilient communities, clean energy and efficient buildings, healthy lives and communities, and a clean economy. Those are the 6 areas. So I encourage you to look into the Minnesota Climate Action Framework and see what some of those things are and how you might be able to support those in your community. So at that, I'll open it up for questions and discussion.
Nobody else has a question?
Take them to lunch.
We mentioned the Colorado River. And we've known for 20 years, probably, that it only can serve on a sustainable basis about 60% of the demands that are on it. Now, our overall aquifer, downstream, I know that it's I thought we would have about maybe over half of it gone. And we only had maybe 15, 20 years left before we're out of water. Maybe it's not that bad, but with the additional, we've got people that are plowing up grassland that shouldn't be farmed unless it has irrigation. We're doing that in Minnesota. Well, that's going to put increasing demand on our aquifer. Now, what kind of prediction could we be looking at in terms of how long we will be before we follow?
Well, I agree that, irrigation is a practice that occurs in Minnesota. It's not an extremely widespread practice. There are certain pockets of irrigation in places. And, I do think that, we want to consider that as maybe, those are the areas where you might prioritize to look for alternatives to, the crops, perennial vegetation of some sort. But in terms of how long, I could not venture a prediction for, I avoid predictions, especially about the future. That, who said that? I don't know.
Yogi Berra?
Yeah, Yogi Berra probably said that. So, some of the predictions related to climate change in Minnesota it's sort of a mixed bag. It's actually more precipitation, more intense precipitation, but interspersed with more frequent short-term droughts. So sort of more whiplash in the weather and the climate going forward in Minnesota. These are predictions that are out there. Some of them are beyond our lifetimes. All of us in this room, or most of us in this room, but I still think we should pay attention to them. So, again, I'm not as concerned about us running out of water in Minnesota as in many other places, but I remain concerned about the volume.
Aquifer was about over 100 feet deep. Do we know where it is now?
I don't, Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have a question about Lake Superior. I have a son who lives in Mayfield, Wisconsin, but Lake Superior bordered with Minnesota also. And in Mayfield, there's signs all over that say Lake Superior is not for sale. So I guess I'd like to ask what that's all about. And the other question I have just is about out west. They ever consider desalination because the Israel's been doing it for years. With the ocean rising, it switched to
Yeah, so first, on Lake Superior, so we talked about that. That's where the water quantity crisis in other parts of our country could come back to hit Minnesota. I remember 25 years ago when these discussions of piping Lake Superior water came up, we would just laugh at that. But I don't think that's a laughing matter anymore. I think there very well could be efforts to move water from places that are water rich. There already are those efforts, just not as dramatic as, a pipeline from Lake Superior to the southwestern part of the US. But I would not be shocked if there's continued pressure for those kinds of projects in the years ahead. I don't really understand desalinization I understand the process. I don't understand the economics of it and why countries like Israel are able to do it. I'm not sure it's a completely, I think it's largely economic in terms of what are the alternatives, and we haven't reached the point in this country yet where the economics of desalinization would make sense for most areas, but I'm sure we'll continue to hear about that and see it starting in some places.
You have a question too, or right here?
I was just going to speak this out in Asia. Taiwan is also doing it, but these people, countries that are doing it are dumping the sludge back into the ocean and creating additional problems with the flora in the ocean. We have the dead zone because of the water coming down from the Mississippi, Gulf of Mexico. They're creating their dead zones with desalination. So I think we need to be careful of doing that type of thing. We tend to get on a bandwagon in this country to do things without thinking for the next 20, 30, 50 years. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is that I live on a property that has 7 wetlands, about 25 acres in total. I've been there 24 years. This is the driest they've ever been. They're empty right now. And I have trees dying that never happened before, from the drought. So, I'm concerned. Thank you.
How are the lakes in terms of invasive species? I know we had zebra mussel problems for a while, and is it Asian carp that are in Superior that are causing issues?
I'm the guy that usually can't get the mic back from, right? So invasive species, Chad, sorry. What Chad is referring to for people who aren't familiar is plants and animals that are out of place, introduced from another country. And we've got a number of those, both terrestrial on the land as well as in the water in Minnesota. The ones that you hear a lot about are the ones you mentioned: zebra mussels, Asian carp, and Asian carp they're in the Mississippi River, they're in the Minnesota River. They haven't created the sorts of problems that you hear about in the Illinois River yet in Minnesota with people boat. I don't know if people have seen those videos of people boating on the Illinois River, these huge carp flying out of the water and knocking people in the head and things like that. But and then there are plants as well, in addition to the zebra mussels. So those, and they all they all have impacts to the ecosystem that can really be problematic. So it's something we need to really continue to pay attention to. Our Department of Natural Resources, as opposed to our agency, takes the lead on invasive species management in lakes, rivers, streams, and on the terrestrial landscape. But it'll be an uphill, continue to be an uphill struggle, and may get that also may be exacerbated by climate, as well as things that couldn't overwinter as easily in Minnesota now are able to overwinter more easily in Minnesota. So we'll have to keep paying attention to that.
Yep. Regarding the comment regarding taking lake water, I know that in the Michigan area, Lake Michigan, they put a restriction on how far out you can go to take water. I come from the town, it's about 25 miles from Lake Michigan. They get their water from Lake Michigan. That's about the end of it. Yeah. The other thing is, what can we do in this group that will help not all polluting rivers, lakes? We could talk maybe a little bit about drainage dishes for the street sewers, that kind of thing that dumps right into the river.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Do we still have a couple minutes here? Okay. So just like, so last point, and I should have come prepared for this, like, okay, what can we do? And I didn't really come prepared for this, but it's something I do think about a bit, and so I think we sometimes wonder, what is our little piece? I mean, if someone in the audience here, farms a couple thousand acres, that might be a different conversation with that person about what they're doing or what they might do differently than a person like me who lives on a small city lot in Mankato. And of course, there's ways we can even manage our own yards better relative to all these issues we talked about, nutrients and pesticides and all of those things, and water.
planting, an area with pollinators. Dick just put a book up there. So all those things are very important, but maybe even more important is just the conversations that, well, as important. You're a service group, so you understand the importance of hands-on doing. So that's really important, but also the conversations that we have with our family and our friends and our neighbors to, to try to demonstrate that we do have, that we are concerned and that about these things, we take them seriously. We're not being dismissive of these concerns. I think that can be very helpful to sort of build the sort of public momentum or support that's needed for societal change, right? Things won't change until you've got like a critical mass of people sort of all, not agreeing on everything, but sort of roughly pointed in the same direction on whether it's water or carbon. Yeah. You get the last word.
When we were down to Los Angeles, they were having water problems, and they were restricting flushing the toilet, taking a shower. They advised people it's yellow, let it mellow, if it's brown, put it down.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I can't top that. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, Dave. We really appreciate you. Do good in the community and be kind. Thanks for.
Yeah.